This is fun slash not fun, Wrath of the Lich King Zones Edition. Let's begin, shall we? The Scarlet Enclave. Fun. The Scarlet Enclave, located on the eastern shores of the Plaguelands, this is the Death Knight starting area, and it's here that new DKs will be pitted against everyone's favorite religious fanatics, the Scarlet Crusade. The quests that you'll be doing here will be everything from killing Scarlet villagers, disguising yourself as a courier to infiltrate meetings, raising countless undead from the grave, to even flying a frost worm through the air.
I need healing.
This starting zone experience has it all, but I will admit though that after doing this zone several times, it is pretty easy to get bored of it with how, well, linear the experience can be. But even so, the Scarlet Enclave in Eastern Plaguelands, you gotta admit, is just an awesome MMO zone experience. Howling Fjord. Fun. Who doesn't love this iconic introduction to Wrath of the Lich King as an expansion? Being on the boat, sailing between the two fjords, passing beneath a burning ship, and then being introduced to the larger world of Northrend. And the music. I don't think there's any WoW player out there that doesn't get nostalgic at the sound of Howling Fjord. The quests in this zone are also incredibly enjoyable, considering that there are so many, and the game gives us the opportunity to fight a large variety of enemies and learn a large variety of stories. From warring against the Vrykruul,
Die, maggot!
helping the Tuskar, to even dealing with the threat of whatever the heck the Iron Dwarves are up to, this zone has plenty to enjoy for any would-be adventurer. Borean Tundra. Not fun. If you were to ask a WoW veteran which starting zone they prefer in Wrath of the Lich King, Howling Fjord, or Borean Tundra, probably 90% or more would choose Howling Fjord. This isn't to say that Borean Tundra can't be enjoyable. I myself really enjoy the vibe this zone offers at times, but compared to its sister zone, Borean Tundra is kinda lacking. The Horde certainly get an awesome introduction to Northrend with their massive fortress of Warsong Hold, and the Alliance even get a comfy coastal castle which is under continuous assault by the Scourge. Both factions also get fun stories to enjoy as well, from locating Thessarian for the Alliance to learning more about Garrosh and Saurfang if you're Horde. However, despite any positives, this zone suffers from a lack of variety in terms of environment. It is a tundra after all. I think that because of the Dita quest lines, the vibe of this zone becomes more comedic and silly, and the quests just feel rather boring at times. Some areas can be a lot of fun, like the Scourge places in the east or the Sea Vrykruul infested shores, but Borean Tundra is just lacking. Dragonblight. Not fun. This is a zone that I think some people would say is fun, but I've just never really understood as to why. Especially compared to other zones in Northrend, Dragonblight is kinda dull and a little uninspired in some areas. The zone is primarily a big empty snowdrift littered with dragon bones, the occasional kobold, or a giant man-eating worm. And that can be awesome, but I think that many people would have liked to see more variety in terms of the environment in this zone, considering over half of it just feels kind of empty. Now don't get me wrong, if you are on the eastern side of this zone fighting beneath Naxxramas, this zone can be pretty fun. Fighting Scarlet Crusaders as well, excellent. And even getting to meet the Dragonflights, working with them, and observing Alexstrasza's big fat dragon ass, it's great. Also, the Wrathgate cinematic, it's still one of the best pieces of work that Blizzard has ever done in this game. But I think it's fair to say that despite any praises that we can give this zone, everybody is sort of just trying to get through it to arrive at our next location on the list. You know it, you love it, it's Grizzly Hills. Fun. This is without a doubt the most iconic zone in Wrath of the Lich King. Even people who have never played a moment of World of Warcraft in their lives have heard of this lush pine forest, filled with loggers, worgen, furbolgs, and more iron dwarves to farm quests on. Grizzly Hills is known primarily for its musical score though, and it holds hands perfectly with the beauty of the zone itself. Despite being as old as Wrath of the Lich King is, even today, if Blizzard released a zone that looked like Grizzly Hills with this sort of look, the music, players would be satisfied. Just walking around for a few moments in Grizzly Hills is enough to make you fall into Azeroth all over again in terms of nostalgia or immersion. Grizzly Hills also has a lot of fun quests to do across the zone, but some are, I admit, kind of neglected. Pretty much everything down in Venture Bay early on, as well as the other PvP quests. You don't really see much PvP in this zone, even though Blizzard did try to sprinkle it in here and there. But regardless, Grizzly Hills is definitely fun, and if you haven't played through this zone before and gotten to meet everybody's favorite friendly, totally not a bad guy troll Drakuru, then you're missing out. Zul'Drak, fun. This is a zone that I think many people would say isn't very fun from how they remember it, but the moment that you give it another chance and really pay attention to the leveling in Zul'Drak and how it's structured, you'll quickly realize just how enjoyable this zone is. You start at the bottom of Zul'Drak, working with the Ebon Blade and moving against the Scourge to take out their defenses. You do some infiltration, you get to meet the Lich King, and soon enough you're delving deep into the Drakari Empire, learning that the trolls have been sacrificing their very gods for greater power. Talk about an intense zone in terms of story. The structure of this zone and its quests with how you progress deeper and deeper into Zul'Drak, it's really cool climbing towards the peak. Unfortunately, we didn't get a raid in Wrath of the Lich King themed around Zul'Drak, which everybody expected, but maybe there's hope for something in the future. Either way, Zul'Drak is a love it or hate it sort of zone in Wrath of the Lich King, and I stand on the side of those who think this is a very enjoyable leveling experience. Shalazar Basin, not fun. In the behind the scenes videos for the making of Wrath of the Lich King, Blizzard talked about how they wanted to make sure that each zone in Northrend felt unique and the whole continent wasn't just endless miles of snow. And in their pursuit of making each zone distinct from the others, they created the most distinct zone of all, Shalazar Basin. Unlike the rest of Northrend, which is covered in snow, thick pine forests, and mountains, this basin is tropical, sunny, full of jungle, rivers, and even dinosaurs. It's rather odd in terms of the theme of this expansion, which is probably why many people didn't go to this zone or really bother with it. Now, that's not to say that the zone can't be fun at times, especially as you're participating in the war between the Wolvar and the Gorloks, but just compared to other places in Wrath of the Lich King, Shalazar Basin just isn't as memorable. Storm Peaks, fun. For some people, this is their favorite zone in Wrath of the Lich King, and after you play through it, you'll quickly see why. Storm Peaks is unique in the fact that it's a very vertical zone in its approach to its leveling. New quests will take you further and further up into the mountains, and a flying mount quickly becomes required if you want to progress in the story. As you make your way through Storm Peaks, you'll encounter everything from frozen Vrykul, iron dwarves, the remnants of Titan technology, and even storm giants, which these guys are just so cool to hang out with. Storm Peaks is a zone that makes you feel small, vulnerable, and the scale of its story and lore just adds to this fact. Also, who could forget Ulduar, located right at the top of this zone, one of World of Warcraft's most memorable and enjoyable raids. What an awesome place to quest through. Crystal Song Forest, not fun. There really isn't much to say about Crystal Song Forest, unfortunately. The zone is absolutely gorgeous, but there really isn't much of anything to do here. The zone is pretty much empty of activity unless you count Dalaran hovering above. Crystal Song is a strange zone in Wrath of the Lich King, however, because it still is very memorable, just to how beautiful it is. The humming magical trees that litter the landscape, they're immediately nostalgic for any former Wrath of the Lich King player, and there are plenty of videos to be found of just music and ambience set in this zone. Crystal Song, I think most would agree, is not a fun zone, but it certainly is a chill and relax kind of zone. A location that creates a feeling of calm and cold and comfort. Icecrown Glacier, fun. The zone that holds within its heart Icecrown Citadel itself. Icecrown Glacier is a place that immediately strikes fear into the hearts of all who tread here. In terms of design alone, this place can give you the creeps. The color scheme, the music, the sheer amount of undead crawling through the area, even the Vrykul who live in the center of the zone who worship the Lich King as a death god. There's a lot of cool things to say about Icecrown Glacier. It's very memorable for several things. First, you have the Horde and the Alliance airships that circle the glacier that you can get quests from. There's tons of phasing technology that Blizzard utilized throughout the zone. The entire questing experience feels like you're just desperately trying to fight your way inch by inch through the glacier towards Icecrown Citadel itself. There's even this awesome reveal in the zone where you fall deep beneath the Citadel for the first time and you discover that Arthas has tore out his heart and has cast it down into the depths to be forgotten, only to be discovered by you. In terms of endgame zones, Icecrown Citadel is remembered as being one of Blizzard's best, and it's no surprise to anyone who has taken the time to quest through here. Hrothgar's Landing, not fun. Yes, I decided to add this little zone into the video because why not? Hrothgar's Landing is a former Tuskarr fishing village that was conquered by a giant pissed off Kvaldir, aka a seaweed frykul, named Drotten Hrothgar, something like that. Anyway, since taking over, his seaweed people have been causing trouble, and it's up to you and your fellow adventurers to defeat his forces through a series of daily quests. So yeah, it's just a glorified daily quest zone. There isn't too much to say about it. Hrothgar's Landing is certainly a really cool place though, being so far north, covered in snow, feeling like it lies at the edge of civilization. But aside from a very simple story and a few short quests, there really isn't anything to do here, so I think it's safe to say it's not fun. Wintergrasp, not fun. Quick story for those who were not there. When Wintergrasp was first introduced into the game with the release of Wrath, this zone was a massive headache for everybody playing the game. You see, every time a Wintergrasp match was going on, the entire game would lag for everyone on a server, and it sucked. Now, if you were in Wintergrasp doing PvP, however, it could be a really fun time piloting the vehicles, blowing down the walls, ultimately unlocking a special raid that dropped PvP gear, which was kind of weird. At least Vault is super easy though. However, even with the introduction of siege vehicles to the game, Wintergrasp just really wasn't that fun for many people, many choosing instead to avoid it entirely in favor of battlegrounds and arenas. It was a place to get some quick and easy gear though, and that was nice. So, out of Wrath of the Lich King's 12 zones, 6 were fun, and 6 were not fun. Do you agree with my take? Let us know down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.